Coast Gearheads. You know, we're out here in Phoenix, Arizona. We had the pleasure to rent out a Jaguar F-Type R. Boy, is this car a lot of fun. All that and much more on this video. So yeah, with favorite things about this car so far, guys, is like, my gosh, the car accelerates like no other. Like me and Jacob have talked about before in the channel, we have driven this car at the Houston Auto Show. I actually now have the pleasure of renting it for a couple of days, and it actually has some pretty good utility, as much as these car reviewers say that it doesn't. We actually fit all of our bags that we took on a week-long trip to Arizona in the trunk. Didn't have any issues with that. We even have a special little cubby hole up here that's able to hold anything like your hat or something simple that you don't want to hold. This GoPro when I'm not recording. But I also like the gear lever. Most of the time with these newer cars, they start to get rid of gear levers. I think they start to use more electronics. Even though this is an electronic gear lever, they started to use more buttons. I do appreciate the fact that you still can shift up and down when you have it in manual mode, as well as leave it and drive and hold it if that's something you like to do when you're driving your car. About the steering wheel, guys, something that may separate it from others is these paddle shifters that it has on the back. They are plasticky, but they are not nearly as plasticky as something you'd see in like a Kia Stinger. I mean, obviously this is a $110,000, $115,000 car versus a Stinger, which is a $30,000 to $40,000 car. But they still feel very firm. I think I really like them. The steering, like the turn signal stock, everything like that still feels very firm and legitimate. A lot of times with cars these days, they feel really plasticky and cheap, like they're about to break off. I think you find that more in Mercedes versus maybe in this Jaguar. They're actually using some nicer materials, which we don't normally say. The steering wheel is also heated, so that's something I really appreciate. I don't have that in my car right now, and with it being a performance sports car, I think that's a nice feature. Like being like, it's not necessarily a grand touring car, it's still a performance car, slightly even a muscle car with the sound of the exhaust notes that this thing has. There's still some nice features to be had. I also appreciate the panoramic sunroof. It does not open, which I think that's okay. I think you do get plenty of sunlight in here, and that's not exactly what's to be enjoyed in a car that's this fast, this powerful, and this mean. Now, other big giant V8s we've talked about on the channel, including the C63 AMG Edition 507. I think this car separates itself a little bit in the fact that it is quicker. Like, this thing absolutely jumps off the line. Given it is a supercharged V8 versus the C63 is just a naturally aspirated 6.28 liter. Some people call it 6.3, 6.2, whatever. Giant V8, naturally aspirated. Now, and we have talked about the AMG having a nicer exhaust note and meaner engine sound just because it is naturally aspirated. I do believe this Jaguar F-Type takes the crown in being the meanest cat along the road. I also appreciate, you have the nice crackles from the exhaust after you've been accelerating. You get a little bit. It does make my wife sick sitting there in the passenger seat as us feathering the accelerator, make sure we get those nice crackles out of the exhaust. It also rides really smooth. For what it's all considered, the highway noise is a little high for a car of this caliber of price range. I also feel like with the performance tires, you're not going to be as cushiony on the road. You're going to be a little bit louder, a little more road noise. But I mean, like, yet again, we'll go back and ring that bell again. Is we're not driving this car. You're not buying this car for the quietness on the road. You're buying it for the meanness from the engine, the exhaust, and the fun that you'll be had sitting in this driver's seat. Now, something you might notice in these seats, guys, these are actually seemed to be controlled by air compressors. So if you wanted to increase the bolstering from each side, you would twist the knob and let it squeeze your lower back. And as you let it out, you get a nice little air popping out of it. And you also find that as to be consistent between the lumbar control, raising up and down, as well as the seat going forward and back, and reclining and declining. But they're also very comfortable for the most part. We were driving in them for about an hour yesterday. I think I started to get a little sore just because they're not as soft as maybe you find in a Volvo. But who says we're going to be able to compete with Volvo seats when the Volvo doesn't have 560 plus horsepower? Get up to about 95 right there, about a blink of an eye. My gosh, it throws your stomach down into your intestines. You feel like you're about to poop out your stomach. But my gosh, it's a good ass time. Reminds me of like a nice roller coaster you'd find like Fiesta Texas or SeaWorld, wherever you go have your fun on a roller coaster. But man, it is intoxicating. It is addicting. I think if you got a car like this, I can understand when people say, you're gonna get a lot of tickets. Outside of that, I mean, I don't want to blow you guys up with more information. There's a lot of good videos out there, including ours, about the Jaguar F-Type R. I would recommend, if you guys want to learn more, you can also go watch Savage Geese. They do one heck of a review, internal and external, about the Jaguar F-Type R. But outside of that, that is Gulf Coast Gearheads signing off.